What's going on, everybody? It's Pat Voss. This is the Honesty Podcast, vlog series 5 days a week. Of course, we have every Saturday an interview for you, my new interview series. And, of course, Sundays are the Q&A sessions, live, an audio blog on Podbean, Stitcher Radio app, and iTunes. Of course, the intro for that was cut by Amir Gray, a good buddy of mine out of Chicago. You can go and check him out at thatgrayguy.com. And, of course, my dad, Ed Voss, cut the vocals for the intro for that. But today, on the interview series, we have Ronald Agers. He is a writer for an affiliate of ESPN. It's the True Hoops Network. How are you?
Doing okay, man. Glad to have me on.
I'm glad to have you. You know, I'm starting to roll through these interview series. It's going real well, so I'm glad to have somebody that's working with the ESPN or ESPN affiliate. That's really nice. It's a big aim of mine in future podcasts and interviews. So what is it that exactly you do? What is it you do?
Right now, not only with the writing of the True Network, I covered the Brooklyn Nets for the last couple of years. I'm trying to get on right now with the Atlanta Hawks. Hopefully soon that will happen in the next week or so. I basically take and parlay that into radio interviews. I like your podcast as well. I've done things for the Bachelor Pad and a lot of other blog sports radio shows. Like last night, the Rat Pack show.
Okay.
Basically, in short, I love the NBA. I love basketball in general. So basically, in short, with me being 6'1", 155 pounds soaking wet, I realized that I am not big enough to play in the National Basketball Association. There's only one guy around my size that's ever made it in the league. That was Allen Iverson. Guess what? I'm not Allen Iverson. So basically, I take the love of the sport, and I just write about it and do my opinions.
I like that because right now, so here's a little background about me for a lot of people that don't know out there as well. I used to play, it was 3 sports. It was football, baseball, and basketball in high school. I ended up getting hurt, ended up developing a really bad tendonitis in my left elbow all the way through. Was not able to throw hard anymore. Was not able to shoot correctly anymore. And so I started looking to ESPN, looking to Mike and Mike in the Morning, Waddle and Sylvie here in Chicago. I started listening and thinking, okay, I might be able to do what they do. I want to learn how they do what they do so that I could kind of transition from playing a sport to commenting on it or doing a blog post about it. That's where I wanted to come from. So to do my own show, and I like that it's unedited. You can say whatever you feel. Obviously, you being with an affiliate of ESPN, I can understand that there would be a little bit edited on this podcast. But I appreciate you coming on and to show people, when one thing doesn't work out or something else doesn't happen, your true love can still shine through in a different way. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't know that. They think that it's one and done shot. And I did the same thing with Matt Braxis, a pro MMA fighter I just interviewed, is that when it can't work out one way, it still keeps going, whether you're doing commentary or a blog post.
And also understand something else too. It's so broad with broadcasting because also I direct newscasts as well at my local TV station because I live here in Charlotte, North Carolina. There's so many ways of covering sports. I mean, you can direct, you can do graphics, you can run cameras. You can still be in the action, so to speak. I think where people go wrong is they feel that they don't want to pay that price. Understand that I've been doing this for 23. This is gonna be my 23rd year producing the radio, writing for sports, writing sports articles, doing this. I've only done this for a couple of years. Got a story. For about 2 months before my 40th birthday, and I had just started writing for a little small radio, for a small newspaper here in Charlotte, and my mom just enjoyed what I was writing. I used to call myself Anquan Gray Blackman, the Angry Black Man, and my title would be "I just got mad over ridiculous thing that's going on in sports." Well, my mom said you gotta let that Angry Black Man thing go, and I wrote another article, and then she finally sat down and told me this. And when my mom just sits me down, because I'm the biggest mama's boy everybody knows, she said, I want you to start writing and stop worrying about directing all the time. Now, you got to understand, I've been doing this for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing it for a long time. And she said, because you're not growing. And you know, obviously you can write. And you've been doing this for so long, we already know you can direct. Now, understand, she's never seen me direct a show in her life. But she said, you need to do something else. And this is something that you love, and you're going to miss out on it. Now, I went home and got mad because she said, you're not going to talk to me for a couple of days, but I'm going to say it anyway. And she was right. I didn't talk to her for a couple of days. But I took the challenge. And I said, okay, fine. I'll give this a chance. And about 3 months later, I got on with Fansided.com, Pippen Ain't Easy, and started covering the Chicago Bulls. And for that 1 year, and I was also the editor. For that 1 year, over 1 million people read my articles, which was shocking to me. I mean, 1 million people tuning in to see what I had to say. And it allowed creativity and everything. And I started to enjoy it. And I started getting a relationship with my readers. And then since then, I moved on to the Brooklyn Nets, and naturally for the last couple of years. And then I parlayed that into interviews, doing radios and stuff like that, which I truly enjoy. But I think people need to understand the type of hard work that it takes to do this. I mean, you have to make sure that your time is your schedule, because to set this up, it took time back and forth with us to schedule this interview. I have to make sure after I get off the interview, finish interviewing this podcast, I got another interview at 6 o'clock. Plus, I have a full-time job to make sure that the bills stay paid, just to make sure I have a computer to do this. So right. People have to understand there's a lot going on into this, because my next goal now is, because this is a hustle. People understand. Sometimes the articles, the podcasts and all that, a lot of these people have full-time jobs to pay for this. So it takes a while to transfer all of these things over, because that's where I think where everybody understands. They say it's just one and done thing. We pour all our chips into the middle of the table on one thing, making it to get that hit. Sometimes you ain't got to go for the home run. Sometimes you got to go for the single. Sometimes you got to go for the bunt, sacrifice bunt and everything, using a baseball rhetoric with the situation. But just keep working at your craft. Honor it, honor yourself, honor God. Eventually, it will turn into a job that you can do for the rest of your life. A lot of places like David Aldridge, they started in local. Craig Sager, they started local and was not making a lot of money. Craig Sager, may rest in peace, who just recently passed from cancer, started at a radio station. And you know, radio does not make a lot of money doing radio. So you have to build yourself up. You got to build a reputation. You have to build up your network so people can get an idea of what you can do, and keep working at your craft. So when you're ready, you'll be ready to make the seamless transition, because it only takes one chance to mess up on the air, and then you're back to square one, or you're out in the cold altogether.
Well, and that's something I like that you bring up, is all the hard work and the things that people think that it's just a one and done thing. It's, I think I could do that, or I think I have the voice for that, or I have the attitude for it. But it really takes a special kind of person like yourself to come along and say, okay, I can write, I can do this, I can do the interviews, I can do face-to-faces. You can do it all. You can do it all where your face in your name is getting out there. But a lot of people that I meet, and a lot of people not on these interviews, but outside of these, a lot of people that I meet think that, I could do that. You know, I talk about sports on my couch all day, so I could go and do that. And that's not it. No. It's not. Just having a simple opinion is not step one. Step one is real knowledge, not just opinion.
Yeah, and also understand this. My father used to tell me all the time, why can't you just get 3 or 4 guys to get a radio show? I say, Pop, I understand that. But you have to have 3 to 4 guys that are just as committed to preparing for what you do. Right. Because this conversation may take 15 to 20 minutes, but it took you about an hour or 2 just to get ready for this interview, sending the information that I needed. And the app that you gave me, and send it to my website, and keeping ourselves together and collaborating to meet like we are today. And you better know what you're talking about. See, I'm a trash talker. I'll let you know why. Like, let's talk about the New York Knicks for a second. The New York Knicks stink. But I can tell you why they stink. I can tell you why they stink, from Carmelo Anthony to Derrick Rose to Phil Jackson up to James Dolan. I can tell you why. And if you're talking about and you better have thick skin doing this as well.
Right.
Because if you say the New York Knicks stink, and you got guys from New York who are diehard New York Knicks fans, they're going to say, oh, man, Ron don't know what he's talking about. He's stupid. Man, Skinny, you don't know how to play no basketball. And then when you have a carry-on conversation or they put it in the comment section, I can say, okay, you don't agree with me. Fine. Get to the part where you can say I'm lying.
Right. And that's the thing. And that's the thing I like about you is that's what I do a lot with Chicago sports as well, is when it comes to the Bulls or the Blackhawks, the Bears and the Cubs, when I'm making a point, I don't go into a conversation without having some kind of backup. I don't go into the conversation without having some kind of facts. And people actually, and this is something funny that you should mention that, because my first show that I had, which I hate to mention because now it's the Honesty Podcast, before it was LNMU, the Late Night Mix-Up, and I had 3 different co-hosts, one from Florida, one from Boston, and one from LA. Mm-hmm. And we were all, all corners of the country coming together on this. But when I would mention things, I would get a little heated. Like you said, you're a trash talker. You get a little heated, but you still have the facts. And that's something I think people looking at me didn't see. They didn't see that I was bringing all these facts. They were just seeing that I got heated in the conversation and they didn't want to listen to what I had to say. But when, at the end of the day, when you rewind that clip and you listen to that interview or the podcast episode that I had, you're like, wow, I'm not sure if I can really defend myself against what he just said.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something. With you being from Chicago, it's funny. The one thing about the Chicago Bulls, Bears, Blackhawks, or whatever, Chicago fans are very, very, very knowledgeable and they're very passionate. When I left Pippen Ain't Easy at fansided.com, one of my former colleagues there sent me when I had left, sent me a link about one of the fans of Pippen Ain't Easy, saying I was one of their favorite writers because I was very knowledgeable about what I was talking about. I mean, I was a New York Knicks fan, but I knew, me being a New York Knicks fan, writing for a Chicago Bulls blog, even that was marketable. See, you got to learn about marketing yourself too, because you're a brand and I'm a brand. In other words, I'm selling myself to you, you're selling yourself to me, even as we're carrying on this conversation. And what put me on the map, when everybody in Chicago, and I think you would remember this, knowing that Carmelo Anthony was a free agent, and everybody had him coming down to Chicago, saying, "Oh, he's going to get a ring. We're going to get him with Derrick Rose. We're going to win the whole thing." I told him he ain't going nowhere. Why? Because of his wife. His wife is an actress. Where are you going to go? You're not going to go to Chicago to build up your career in Hollywood. You're going to go to either to LA or you're going to stay in New York.
Right. And
my article was, and when he stayed in New York, my headline was, "I told you so."
I like it. I like that.
But the thing is, I think people don't understand here is this. Even if there's 10 people that listen to your podcast or read your articles or listen to your radio station or TV station, if there's 10 people, if 5 people love what you're doing and 5 people hate what you're doing, you're already winning. Here's why. 5 people are already loyal to you regardless, no matter what. But those 5 people that don't like you, they want to check in just to see if you were wrong or if you were right.
And either way, they're listeners.
In either way, they are loyal listeners or viewers to watch what you do. When you figure that out, and that's the riddle of the Sphinx when it comes to this, because it is difficult we're all human. We're sensitive too. We want to do things right. We want everybody to like what we say. Who doesn't like being right? But if you're right, a lot of the times you're respected. Why do you think Charles Barkley makes all that money?
Right. And not a lot of people like him, but if you have good opinions and you have good facts to back up what you're saying, that I get that. And that's something I've tried to pride myself on. That's what I did on my last show. I mean, on my last show, and then this is a surprise to me, this is before I really had to restart on this, I had 24,000 followers on Twitter, and I did an email blast, and I did a few other things, and really reached out and said, "Hey guys, would you help come and support me for good or for bad, for better or worse? What is it that you want to support me on? Do you want to disagree with me? Because if you do, we can hash it out. No problem. I'll invite you in as a guest on my show. And if you like me, great. You can agree with me if you'd like to. But agreeing with me or disagreeing with me doesn't hurt me either way, because guess what? I'm the host of the show, and I'm going to go ahead and give you my opinions with the facts.
Exactly. And in Charlotte, I'm currently working with a guy on a radio show here in Charlotte. He told me this: always let your listeners say their piece. Let them rant, rave, whatever the case may be, because in the end, it's still your show, and you're going to get the last word regardless. But with this, all of this is just entertainment, because there ain't nothing but what sports is anyway. It's entertainment plus knowledge. That's why everybody, sports fanatics, fans are nothing but short of fanatics. Everybody think they're right. That's what makes everybody enjoy what we do right now. That's why we're enjoying collaborating what we're doing now. A funny thing happened. Dallas Cowboys lost this past weekend, which I assumed they were going to do, considering Jerry Jones put Romo back on the field. But on Facebook, some college buddies of mine put a Dallas fan on blast, and he mentioned my name, like saying, if you can't go to Winston-Salem State and survive, if you can't deal with a little bit of trash talking on Facebook. I'm in class of 94. The fact that somebody could remember my name from 1994 and we're in 2017, it made me laugh. It took me back 20 years. So if you know what you're talking about, it doesn't make no difference if they agree with you or not. They're going to say, hey, I can't stand that dude, man. He make me sick. Ron,
but they remember
I can't stand Ron. But if you can market it right, and they can get one thing they can remember about you, they'll always remember you. Because at Pippin Ain't Easy with Fansided.com, you remember Carlos Boozer, Chicago guy. You either love Carlos Boozer or you hated Carlos Boozer.
Yeah.
A lot of people at the end hated Carlos Boozer. So I said, here's what I'll do. I'll just say I'll just fall in love with Carlos Boozer, and then I'll come up with my own little group, the Legion of Booze. Ate it up.
I mean, really. Really. That's awesome.
Yep. But see, you love it. You can see now. I see you smiling and you're laughing about it.
But I see why you did it.
Because he's such a polarizing figure. We all knew Tom Thibodeau hated him. He didn't play no defense. So guess what? But either way, it would come to my articles. Right. And I think you already know, if you do articles and whatnot and you're getting paid for it, what is it, 15 cents a page view?
Something like that, yeah.
So guess what? With 15 cents, you need about as many people tuning in to either love or hate the Legion of Booze as possible. It was a smash. So, I mean, you have to come up. It's just so many things that you have to do marketing-wise, the passion of it, the research. This is what I'm talking about. But if they remember you, they remember you.
Right. And here's the thing. Here's the last question I wanted to ask you here before we get going today. And again, I thank you so much for coming on. And I know here's the thing. I want to apologize on air for this, on camera for this. I didn't want to be spammy on LinkedIn. I do apologize. I wanted to make sure that everything was going according to plan so we can get this done. And I'm glad it worked out. But I will ask you the last question. The last question is, if you could be doing anything, and I'm pretty sure I almost know this answer unless it's something completely out of the blue here. If there's anything that you could be doing other than what you currently do, what would it be?
I can't lie to you, man. It may be cliche. It might be cliche. It would probably be bad. It probably would be basketball. I love hoops. I really love hoops. And because it's the discipline, and it shows so many life lessons. Basketball has taught me so much in life lessons. It's the discipline. It's the hard work. It's the precision. Even shooting a basketball, like you said, you hurt your arm or whatnot, and you can't shoot the ball correctly anymore.
Right.
Do you know how hard the practice? You've taken 1,500 to 2,000 shots a day just to get good. Something that it takes a lot of passion. It takes a lot of commitment to do something like that. And if not, and to be totally honest, I am blessed to be in a job that I went to school for, which a lot of people can't do in this day and age. I went to school for mass communication, radio, television. I've been a television director for 17 years, 23 years overall. I've been on this side of the building for a while, doing sports and radio for 3 years, and I want to do that forever. I mean, I've basically done what I wanted to do. I wish I started this a lot sooner, probably right in my mid-30s and whatnot, but I didn't. But I'm doing it now. But the cliche, would I love to play NBA basketball? Sure. But basically right now, I really am blessed in doing what I'm doing. I'm really happy with what I'm doing. I mean, you have your ups and downs like every other job in your career. You have ups and downs in playing NBA ball or playing ball overseas. But the fact that I'm pretty much happy and stable with my life and I'm good with what I got.
And here's the thing. I don't see it as cliched as what you like to do or what you love to do, because it's something that you actually love to do. Like me. It's a guy who grew up watching Cubs baseball from the time he was 3.5 or 4 years old, and now I'm 28 years old. Been watching. Luckily, I was finally, blessed enough to see a World Series come to Chicago on the north side.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. But that's what I would like to be doing, because that's what I did in school and growing up was center field and relief pitching, and I would love nothing more than to be center field for the Chicago Cubs. Nothing more. Because that's who I grew up watching, and that's who I like to play with, even if it was for one game. If they're like, hey, we're signing you to one game, go out there, and we'll put you at 3 plate appearances during the game, I'd be happy for the entire rest of my life. And I'm happy with what I do now, but trust me, that would make my day.
I got a question, though.
Sure.
Can you hit a curveball?
Well, depends. I mean, what are you talking about? Is it a curveball from a weird Aroldis Chapman curveball that comes around?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about a regular curveball. Because, see, we all know in baseball, there's a certain level you can get through in baseball. And Michael Jordan, and listen, we remember the Michael Jordan Sports Illustrated cover, right? Bag it, Michael?
Yeah.
That was a curveball he missed, okay? So I'm asking, can you hit a curveball? Because everybody know the rite of passage of playing baseball to a certain level. Because I couldn't hit a curveball. I tried a little late. Now listen, fastball, yeah, I could hit.
Yeah,
curveball,
but listen here. So the answer is no, not effectively. 99% of the time. But the thing is, Chris Bryant, the rookie of the year last year for the Cubs, and the MVP this past year, he can't really effectively hit a curveball 99% of the time. He is probably, I believe, like a 220 or 230 hitter with a curveball. He can hit those sliders like nobody's business, and if you hang a fastball on him by accident, he'll take you to town. But no, the curveball, no. Him and Rizzo both. But those are the 2 biggest names that you know of from the Cubs.
Yeah.
But for me, I prefer sliders and fastballs myself, and a little bit of changeup, because they think they're fooling you, but you're used to seeing these young guys all your life, and they don't throw as fast as the majors. So when they slow it down for a curveball from 95 to 78 or a changeup to like 82, you're ready for it because your timing's it's already built in. It's like muscle memory. That's what I love watching with Major League ball players. You could see it in their eyes. It's all muscle memory. They're just ready to go from start to finish.
Yeah.
But again, people know where they can find me. It's Honesty Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Pat Voss 12 on Snapchat. Of course, if you're already a patron on Patreon, I appreciate it so much. Also, you can find me at honestypodcast.com, my main website. I write blog posts there. And, of course, all my updated YouTube videos are there as well. But before we go, Ronald, where can they find you?
At Sport World Order. At Sport World Order. Now, that's SPORT World Order.
Okay.
You can always get me on LinkedIn, Ronald Agers, and get me at ronaldagers@yahoo.com. I answer all emails. And I'll get them as quickly as possible.
And I like that Sport World Order, by the way. The Sport World Order. I know what that's a link back to. I mean, I'm a big wrestling fan.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, NWO. Come on now,
man.
For life. Boy, I still got the shirts. Still got them shirts. NWO is for life. The Wolfpack is forever, man. Come on now.
And this has been Ronald Agers, the writer for the affiliate of ESPN. It's the Sports Hoops, or the True Hoops Network. And then next week we have Matt Matera, the chief editor for GMB Sports and GMBSports.com. I'm Pat Voss, and we will see you next week for another great interview. This has been the Honesty Podcast.